I wanted to talk about this since I first realized this morning after perusing YouTube. I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. I did a video. You guys saw it. I do believe it has something to do with the future of Star Wars, but I'm not sure I'm not sure if it's a direct link to Ahsoka or not. The question is, and this is what you have to look at. Placement. It's on Balin's left wrist device. This is the watch hand. It's on his left wrist device. All right. Saw the thumbnail. Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, which, someone pointed out, why didn't they say Chewbacca? And I thought that was how they spelled it, but the person transcribing it just said Chewie. And when I looked at it, it says Chewie. All right, it is a direct translation of the Albrecht, and it says Chewie. C-3PO, R2-D2, Ben. First off, if you're going to have a list, I might be changing my mind right now. If you're going to have a list like that, and it's a hit list, why would you have, hey Dave, the droid's on there? Ben could reference Ben Solo. But in the context of the list itself, it is the main characters, except for Darth Vader, of the original trilogy. Okay? All we're missing for the party, for the hat trick, is Yoda. Okay? So, I almost think this was an Easter egg and maybe a fuck you to Kennedy. Okay, look. I'm be very blunt, and I'm also going to be very careful how I word this. Because yes, I've heard a lot more. Hi Mike, how you doing? Kathleen Kennedy doesn't know anything about Star Wars. This is not a surprise to anybody. But when you have it told to you by someone in the business that has connections, it's quite shocking. Okay, I want to talk about some other stuff too. So it could be a fuck you to Kennedy. It could be a hit list. It could be just, Filoni and Favreau to Kathleen, knowing that, she's done. Now, got to remember that Senator Organa, people forget about this, was mentioned in, was it episode 5 or 6? Yeah, episode 6. And it was the Asian pilot, Carson Teva, telling Hera, Senator Organa said she won't be able to cover for you much longer. Paraphrasing, but that's what he said. So we know that the big elephant in the room is the big three. Now we've got their names on, curiously, what could be a bad guy. I'm not convinced Baylans is a bad guy. I think he's a mercenary. He's a dark Jedi, but that doesn't necessarily make him bad. Okay. He thinks he killed Ahsoka, and he did not. He doesn't know Ahsoka's on her way. All right. Now, you got to look at it this way. You've got Sabine running into Ezra. You've got Balon and Shin following them to kill them. And you've got Thrawn basically saying, we're going to send out 2 squads to take care of all of the Jedi, which means 3 and then Sabine. Okay. So Ahsoka showing up is a way back to the galaxy. It is also a way to get everybody back together again and see what's really going on. I don't think that Thrawn really does need the Jedi like he did before, but again, is there dark tempter out there? Remember, in Heir to the Empire and Dark Force Rising, Jorah Sabao, can never remember how to tell you his name. That name is so weird. Spoke to Luke through the Force. So this is kind of weird. But what's interesting to me is that you get a sense of, with this, is it a hit list? Which is legitimate. Is it a hit list? Okay, now I'm going to say this. Star Wars theories ideas usually are wrong, okay? Is it an Easter egg? Is it a fuck you to Kennedy? All right, I think it is. They've basically been very careful since Luke took out all the Dark Troopers on the original trilogy heroes in any of this. And the reason why is because, Jon Favreau called her the Eye of Sauron, okay, for a reason. If she had found out Luke was going to be in episode 16 of The Mandalorian, she'd have killed it. She'd have killed it. All right. She fucked up Boba Fett so bad they had to literally take the Luke scenes out of The Mandalorian and put it in the Book of Boba Fett to give some sort of structure. Again, what we have been told by certain people. Kathleen Kennedy doesn't know anything about Star Wars, doesn't care. So it gives you the idea that where Tony Gilroy got the idea of not using Star Wars in Andor. There you go. Okay. It's really interesting to me how this is going to play out tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. Okay, it really is, because the list, what does it mean? Okay, it could mean nothing. It could be a fuck you. It could be a happy Easter egg for all of us, or it could be a hint of what's to come. Because at the end of it, the name Ben could refer to Ben Kenobi, could refer to Ben Solo, could refer to Ben Skywalker. Okay, we don't know. I just find it interesting. And again, I'm going to say this. To the people who think this all leads to the sequel trilogy, first of all, fuck off and die. Okay, just fuck the fuck off. Yeah, George Sabao. I can't, that last name is hard to pronounce. Dave, it just is. But because Thrawn and Snoke and a reconstituted in whatever form he is in, Palpatine, don't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Okay, so people going on and on about Palpatine. It could be, Mike, but again, I don't look at Dave Filoni as someone that would necessarily be playing games, but I don't know. Again, you're like, you don't know. So, and Cross is right. I think it might just be a fuck you to Kennedy. I mean, look, nothing those guys have done that has tweaked her from removing all sequel trilogy characters from the introductions. I mean, the season 3 of The Mandalorian, when you're going through all the masks, and Kyle Ron and BB-8 are missing. All right. And then Cameron found out later Kennedy didn't know until the show aired. And when she complained to Favreau, he said, go talk to don't go talk to Bob. Go talk to the boss. All right. So it could actually be Ben Kenobi. But they've got just enough of, you know, ambiguity there to make you go, you know. So I don't know, but it's interesting. Now let's talk about a little more in depth. Oh, my hair's in my eyes. A little more in depth with sorry. Uh, no, there aren't any Kennedy trilogy. None. So I mean, look, I'm gonna tell you guys something. If we end up with a Ben Solo, it doesn't necessarily have to be Adam Driver. They can get another actor. And personally, I don't think he'd go back to Star Wars. I think his experience with the fans, especially the Raylos, was so bad. I don't think he'd come back. So if it is a Ben Solo, probably get a different actor. I mean, like I said in the video that I put out, we could get, Anthony Ingruber to play him as an older, or if that is a reference to Ben, the son. But it could very well just be a reference to Ben Kenobi. Okay, we don't know. All right. All I know is that when I was looking at the Obrush and did my own thing, is that that's what it says. All right. Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, which I think if it was a hit list, it would have said Chewbacca the Wookiee or something like that. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about God. What is God in my eye? I want to talk a little bit about the things that we were told last week. That and now since the writer's strike is over, get ready for announcements. Do not do not get shocked if you hear Rangers of the New Republic is coming back. Kennedy shot it down when she chased out Gina, but that can be reconstituted and different actors can take the spot. I mean, look, I don't belong to the Saint Gina of Carano cult. I mean, what they did to her was wrong. But in my opinion, I'm done. I am done. It's over. I can't care about that anymore. I can't care about her anymore. You know what I'm saying? So, no thank you. But we've got that. So they're digging up shows that Kennedy killed. Rangers of the New Republic. We could actually get Rogue Squadron. And the story behind that'll come out someday. That will come out someday. And the person everybody wanted to blame is not to blame. It's Kennedy. That's all I'm gonna say. She's usually the band leader on all the bullshit. And that's what we got. All right. Star Wars Underworld. We could finally get one of those. Well, the problem, Cross, is that if he comes back, they will come back. And what I mean by they is the Raylos. Okay. And I can't do Star Wars with them. I will boycott, you know. Well, Del Toro, it would have been very interesting to see what he had going on, I think, in my opinion. I really wish he'd been able to do it. And, maybe that's what they were hinting at is his movie. Okay. Because sadly, and this has nothing to do with James Mangold, but he got screwed by Kennedy too. She's the one that fucked him over with Indy 5. Okay. And there you go. So they're digging up old projects that were good that Kennedy killed to see what they can do with them, refurbish them, whatever. Now with the writer's strike ending, thanks be to God, we will get announcements for, I think, Ahsoka season 2, which I am going to enjoy the bitter tears wept by Nerdrotic and the rest of that angry mass of humanity. Yeah, there was, and John just basically took it and turned it into a TV show and called it The Mandalorian. Okay. I still think that would be a good idea. I don't see why they couldn't do it, but of course, again, they have to take they have to get the narrative away from the black pills. Okay, that's what they do. That's what they have to. But yeah, so we're I think we're on the verge of getting some really good Star Wars news. Okay, Kennedy. All right, so you guys know she dropped the price of her house by $2 million, which means she probably does want to sell it. My thing is this: if how am I going to phrase this? She could drop it another $2 million, and I think that would probably be to 14.9, and she probably would sell it. But it also looks to me like they've had a lot of interest, a lot of nibbles, and I think that probably we'll be hearing something about that soon. I look forward to it because I think really when they sell that house, I think we're going to hear she's done. I think she's going to throw in the towel. I think that is probably the end of the road. I've heard a lot more about her that absolutely made me go. And if that'll come out too. And when you hear about it, you're going to be like, I don't know if she lost money or not. They tried to get double what they paid for it, and they weren't going to. It's just if you look at how you sell a house right now, the market is going down, and she's kind of in the same place we were in when we sold our house in Florida. If the house sits on the market too long, it goes stale, and people just will go past it without wanting to even see the inside of it. Our problem was we didn't have the chance to renovate it. We were going to flip it, and we didn't have the time to do it, or ended up the money. We did fix the flooring, but we didn't have the opportunity to do what we really wanted for it, and buyers weren't as interested in the house as they should have been. I mean, it was a beautiful place. It just needed updating. It had been updated with, the brand new appliances and stuff. We probably would have sold it quicker, but we didn't. My thing is, I know what's going on. I know what's going through their heads. I know that they tried to do what we did, which was get more, way more for it, and we took it in the ass. It was a spanking. Okay, so I get it. I get how this is a tough thing to do. Oh, I am too. Well, look, Bezos, has he ever been right about anything? Any of his ideas? No, no. So, I mean, it could be a hit list. It also could be a fuck you to Kennedy. And now the more I think of it, I'm going to have to amend the video that I put out there just today for it, saying it's probably a reference to Ben Kenobi. All right. Look, Theory doesn't understand business at all. He doesn't understand how to make money. And when you tell him the sequel trilogy lost money, it just goes, because he doesn't understand the difference between net and gross. And he doesn't understand the fact that they couldn't sell Ben Solo, Kyle Ron figures. They can't sell Ray figures. I mean, every time I go back to Ollie's, there they are from TLJ, hanging on the pegs. You know, so when people try to make a case for Ben Solo, it doesn't make any sense to me, because that trilogy is dead. That trilogy is absolutely dead. I mean, that doesn't mean that Star Wars is dead. That means that anything Kennedy touched, all right, is done, is dead. All right. This is why they're doing what they're doing. I mean, we've switched from saying the Five Horsemen to Jon Favreau's transition team. All right. Which is a big deal. All right. And it's like, so, but again, until it is said out loud in a press release by Disney or by Kennedy herself, you're going to have, I mean, these people they don't want to believe it. And Theory is too afraid. Because look, you and I all know that he hates the sequel trilogy. Hates it. Hates Ben. Hates him. But he's not going to say this character sucks ass, because he's got sequel trilogy fans, and he'll lose money. And he knows enough to validate them when he has to. Okay. I don't feel the need to validate them. I don't think any Star Wars fan should have to validate these people at all. Okay? I really, really don't. Because they're insane. They don't know what they're talking about. And they're bad for the franchise. All right, look. What happened was the first thing I did when I saw the names on Balan's wristband. What does this mean? Because that's the original trilogy right there. Han, or Luke, Leia, Han, and the giveaway is Chewie. All right, and the fact that they're if it was official or something, like if it was really what Theory was hinting at, and I kind of agreed with it at first, a hit list, it would have said Luke Skywalker, Leia Organa Solo, or Leia Organa, Han Solo, Chewbacca. Why would the droids be added? And of course, then you could assume it would have said Ben Solo, but because it's ambiguous, and the Chewie thing is a key, and Ben, it's probably a reference to the original trilogy. Han, Luke, Leia, Chewie, R2, C-3PO, and Ben Kenobi. All right. And it looks to me like it's a big fuck you from Favreau and Filoni to Kennedy. Okay. They wanted people to notice. And if it was an actual hit list, it would have said Obi-Wan. Or Ben Solo. All right. Thus, it doesn't. Okay. So, was it an Easter egg for the fans? Yeah. Is it a hit list? I'm now starting to think no. I'm starting to feel like it's an Easter egg, but we have to see. Okay. Um, that's it. But when you have Ben, uh, the name Ben there, it's ambiguous because there are two different characters named Ben. Just like the name Jason, Jacen, it could be Jason Sandula, it could be Jason Solo. You know, I think that Favreau and Filoni know that any reference to the sequel characters pisses people off. Uh, I don't think the normies will care either way. I think they know that um, if they're shining Kennedy on, that they're also making people go, wait a minute, what are they talking about? In fear, because I don't want any reference at all to Ben Solo at all. I mean, could you imagine what an ugly baby he was? I mean, ugh. Anyway, um, so, we just gotta see. But there will be, not the writer's strikes, thank God. Or as Cameron would say, inshallah, the writer's strikes over. They have to ratify it. We'll be able to see, we will get some good information then coming out. Far as Kennedy, nothing. I mean, it's as tight as a drum. But again, remember what I said, guys. The boxes that were seen at Lucasfilm in San Francisco were addressed to Kennedy's residence, not the Carbon Mesa Roadhouse, the one on San Onofre in the Palisades. Okay, that one. Which is, I think, their main place. Even though last year, Frank, I think Frank got COVID and then hid out at the Malibu place to be, to quarantine himself. When I got COVID, my husband got it at the same time, so we were both like, whatever, But anyway, that's all the news I can think of. Look forward to see Ahsoka season 2 get a go ahead now announced. We'll probably hear more now from Sparrow, which would be great, and we'll just see where it heads. All right, so is the list a fuck you to Kennedy? I'm gonna say probably. All right, because the key is Chewie. Why would Baylans call a Wookiee Chewie if he wasn't, anyway. I gotta go. So you guys have a good afternoon, and I will see you around the galaxy.